Slave DiBiase.
What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Happy Monday to everybody. Juan, check me out, nigga. Yeah, this is another live sesh, live 420 sesh. Well, 428. I'm like 8 minutes late. If this had been a job, it would have been over for me. Yeah. This is another live sesh with the Offenders Initiative podcast. I am your illustrious host, Slave DiBiase, aka Slave Daniel Riches, aka Victor Von Slay, aka Tony Spark, aka got so many shades they thought I had a lazy eye. And we are here, y'all. We are here. What's going on? Happy Monday. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, whether you watch this content religiously or in passing. I just want to say thank you, because you could have been anywhere in the world for your 420 session, but you're here with your boy. How y'all feeling out there, man? Good, I hope. What I want to do is once again, tell me what the strain of the day is, what you're smoking on, what you're smoking out of, and where you're from. I truly appreciate every bit of folks coming up to kick it with me. I appreciate all that, y'all. But yeah, you seeing the caption here. We got, let's see what we got here now. Let's see what we got here today. Well, tonight, actually, we're diving into Netflix's Nemesis. Have y'all watched Nemesis? This is from the creators of Power, Courtney Kempton. You know what I'm talking about? Breaking down the latest episode of From, reacting to the now gone viral shooting with Chud The Builder, and discussing the growing controversy surrounding Miss, I'm going to call her Miss now, Cheyenne Bryant, and the fact that she's a fake-ass motherfucking doctor. All right, so, yeah. How y'all doing, man? This is a digital haunted house we in. We got Netflix dropping the psychological smoke bombs with Nemesis. From is trapping everybody in nightmare fuel again, and the internet is on Cheyenne Bryant's ass. You know what I'm talking about? This is her shit. Her credentials are under the microscope like an episode of Law and Order LinkedIn unit. You know what I'm talking about? Where are your credentials? You feel me? But first, man, hold on. But first, we got a couple of appetizers, man. You know, I know a little while ago I had a situation where I was showing folks the supposed real plot leak to Avengers Doomsday. You know what I'm saying? By the way, if anybody's out there right now, if you can hear me, if I'm loud and clear, please let me know. You know what I'm talking about? Please let me know. Anyways, hold on. We got a little appetizing here. Hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up. I'm trying to get us a plot leak here. Hold on. Hold on. Because there is a even more better plot leak than what has come out so far. I know I had a whole situation where I let that whole thing go off, but we have new information, y'all. New motherfucking information. Every time I get it, you gonna get it. So hold on here. All right. So this is, of course, by way of Cosmic Wonder. We love everything that guy does, man. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share alike. Get your lighters up, your bull, your joint, and let's get into this. Is the best Avengers Doomsday leak so far. We get a little appetizer, y'all. Here we go.
Person who posted it, but I must say it is different than what we've heard before, and to me it's different in a good way. Out of the plot leaks that we've heard, I actually prefer this one the most. And the really interesting part behind who is posting this is somebody who posted leaks for Avengers Endgame is the same person that posted this one, and the leaks they posted ended up being true. For example, they posted this before Endgame came out. The first scene is Hawkeye losing his family to the snap.
Salute Jamie Lanier in the chat, man. She's always good people. If you can hear me, give me an ear or something like that. You feel me? Salute. But okay, so we're getting this plot leak from somebody that leaked the plot leak for Avengers Endgame, and it was dead on, y'all. So keep listening.
Last scene is Cap and Peggy dancing in their own little house in the past. After Hawkeye scene, Marvel card, then Tony and Nebula in space playing some game with metal scraps, then Tony recording his message to Pepper. It includes flashbacks to the last 22 days with Nebula. She heals his stab wound there. Captain Marvel then shows up, takes them back to Earth. That's what they posted before Endgame came out, and that obviously ended up being 100% true. And they posted a lot. I just went over a little bit because we obviously know how Endgame works. But now they have reportedly posted this to Reddit as well. So there is some validity behind this. And since there is some validity behind this, I will issue a spoiler warning. If you don't want to know anything about Avengers Doomsday, you should probably click away now.
Hey, man, y'all know what this is, man. This spoiler country, Jet. Hey, take your bitch ass on, and I want to be surprised in the movie theater. Well, take your ass to the movie theater in December. We are getting these plot leaks every time I get them. I'm giving them to y'all. So listen up.
So in 3, 2, 1, here we go. Now, I will say some of this is the same, but there is a lot of different parts to it. So just bear with me. It starts and says, soon after, there are several scenes of the X-Men fighting alternate versions of heroes dealing with incursions. This is the beginning of the movie. The X-Men have a bomb that destroys the rival planet. The X-Men win all the confrontations, including the one in the Spider-Man / Tobey Maguire universe. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay, so that's spot on with everything we've heard so far, with every other plot leak that we've ever heard. The X-Men are going around destroying universes to preserve the safety and the longevity of their own. This is not a new plot leak. We know about this one. We know about this part so far. Is everybody up to date? Everybody's up to date. Let's keep going.
And other X-Men are shown defending their world. I remember seeing Iceman, Colossus, and Jean Grey, who are killed. So this is quite different. So not only is this saying that they go to other universes and they win and they destroy those universes to survive, but they have really actively been fighting, and they do fight other planets, other universes that have heroes that actually end up killing a few major X-Men. Iceman, Colossus, Jean Grey, like we have some Omega level X-Men dying, and that's really gonna set the overall tone for Avengers Doomsday in the beginning of the film. I really I hope we see this.
Whoa, hold on, y'all. That wasn't right. Let me get back to that. Hold up. I'm already shocked that Iceman Jean Grey died. Jean Grey dies? That's crazy as hell. Hold on. Back. Share, like again. Hold on, y'all. Okay, let's get back at it. So let's go right back here because I'm still stuck on Iceman and Jean Grey dying. You serious?
Now, I will say some of this is the same, but there is a lot of different parts to it. So just bear with me. It starts and says, soon after, there are several scenes of the X-Men fighting alternate versions of heroes dealing with incursions. This is the beginning of the movie. The X-Men have a bomb that destroys the rival planet. The X-Men win all the confrontations, including the one in the Spider-Man / Tobey Maguire universe. Deadpool and Wolverine and other X-Men are shown defending their world. I remember seeing Iceman, Colossus, and Jean Grey, who are killed. So this is quite different. So not only is this saying that they go to other universes and they win and they destroy those universes to survive, but they have really actively been fighting, and they do fight other planets, other universes that have heroes that actually end up killing a few major X-Men. Iceman, Colossus, Jean Grey, like we have some Omega level X-Men dying, and that's really gonna set the overall tone for Avengers Doomsday in the beginning of the film. I really I hope we see this because it would be cool, but I don't want them to die. But hey, it is what it is. It continues and says, we see a sequence from the final scene of Avengers Endgame, Tony's funeral, from different perspectives, with Steve Rogers going to the past and talking to Scott Lang about the consequences of time travel.
Okay, so we got this says the scene is opening up with these guys in Avengers Doomsday. This is at the end of Endgame, and we're seeing Tony's funeral from different perspectives. You're having Steve Rogers going and talking to other Avengers So now we're getting a little bit more insight as to what happened at that funeral. That's how Doomsday is supposed to start.
And remaining in the past, Scott was the only one who knew what Steve was going to do. That's very interesting. And we've heard that Ant-Man actually does play a pretty decent role in this movie. So this is clearly how they're going to kind of tie him into the overall bigger story. Soon after the Fantastic Four universe appears, we see the family. We see Doctor Doom, and we discover that Steve and Peggy are there. This lines up with what we've heard before.
Okay, I have one question though. With Doctor Doom showing up at the end of Fantastic Four First Steps, have the Fantastic Four from that universe fought him before? Is he a villain in this universe? Because I kind of feel like they're going to paint the picture as if Doctor Doom is a hero, much like how they did with Thanos.
Next, we see the 616 universe. We see Sam's life and his Avengers, a training session at Sam's house. Then we see the Thunderbolts minutes before the post-credit scene of their movie. Fighting thieves, Mel appears guiding the group in Avengers Tower. That's really interesting.
If you're just now tuning in, we have a little bit of appetizer. This is the best Avengers Doomsday leak so far. Yo, Dom's gas station pulled up, man. What's up, brother? Watching on TV, editing a video. How you been? I'm great, brother. Life is lifing. I am on a 3-day water fast, y'all. Please pray for your boy, man. I'm trying to make it through.
Really, really interesting there. It means that Val might still be pretty involved in this. Also, a training session at Sam's house. I'm totally here for that. It's him having his own team, making sure they're trained. I really like that. I really, really like that. But it continues and it says, the two groups are warned about a threat coming from space. Doom is on the ship with Steve Rogers and the Fantastic Four. They meet with the two Avengers groups to ask for help. There's a lot of discussion.
I just feel like if we have no type of breadcrumbs leading to the Fantastic Four having fought Doom before in their universe, like the automatically trusting him thing, I don't know if I'm feeling that, because he's on the ship with them. That ship that we saw that had the Fantastic Four symbol at the end of the post-credit scene for the Thunderbolts, Dr. Doom is supposed to be on that ship with the Fantastic Four. Why are they so trusting? If y'all know anything about Dr. Doom, if you read your comics, why are they so trusting?
And they head to Wakanda because they need a mastermind to deal with the incursions. Shuri asks Namor for help and he joins the group. Cut to Thor and his daughter. Love warns Thor that a threat is coming. She's been having nightmares about Doom and the incursions, about the end of everything, and that everyone will die. Thor gets worried and returns to Earth. They go to...
If y'all can remember at the end of that trash-ass movie, Thor Love and Thunder, Thor ended up adopting Gore the God Butcher's daughter, and she has the powers of eternity. That's how she was able to be brought back to life. So basically, she's a little mini version of eternity. So if there's any sort of rifts in space-time, anything dealing with the multiverse, she's going to feel it before anybody else because she's linked to what I would basically call the essence, you know?
New Asgard, we see Valkyrie taking care of Amor, which I assume is love, because that is Spanish for love, and Thor goes to Wakanda and finds everyone. This is very interesting because we've actually heard something about this a while ago. Since Love was brought back to life by eternity, she seemingly does have some powers of eternity.
Okay.
We saw that in Thor Love and Thunder. So her being connected to eternity and the multiverse as a whole, it makes sense that she would be having feelings, she would be having nightmares, kind of seeing and predicting what is coming. So I really like this. Then it says a lot happens that doesn't need to be mentioned. They split into three groups. One goes to the Fantastic Four universe, another to the X-Men universe, and the other to the TVA. And this is where it gets a little bit different in a good way. Steve wants to go there to talk to Loki because it was Loki who sent Steve to the Fantastic Four universe. The heroes plus Doom who go to the X-Men universe have a confrontation with them. Them, of course, being the X-Men. When the spaceship arrives on the X-Men's Earth, Nightcrawler suddenly appears inside and attacks the heroes. Okay. There are some great fights. Cyclops destroys Sam Wilson.
Okay, I'm with that. Hold on. Let me give you niggas a close-up. I am with that. Of course, I got Cyclops on my shirt right now. No, I'm talking about I am with that because if Sam did not take the super soldier serum like he should have, which I don't know why the fuck he hasn't, Steve took the damn serum. It's nothing bad. You're going to get in there and get in the ring with a mutant and get your ass beat. From what I'm noticing with the way that the MCU is like categorizing the mutants, I think that everybody that's a mutant has naturally slowed aging. There might be some other mutants that have even slower aging, like a Magneto or your Selene or Wolverine. But like normal mutants in the MCU, they age slowly, I believe. You know what I'm saying? Some slower than others. And the fact that you have a human going hand in hand with a mutant like Cyclops, who has an optic punch blast right here that y'all can see. Yeah, that little shield he got, it's going to look crazy seeing all them optic blasts bouncing off that shield. But they're saying my man Sam Wilson gets destroyed. Whoever wrote that he does not get the super soldier serum, especially because he said he needed it when he was fighting the Red Hulk, if he does not have the super soldier serum in this movie, it's bad writing. I'm sorry. He just needs it. He needs it. Sorry.
I really like that. Although it's not Cyclops versus Steve Rogers Captain America, I know one of the biggest versus.
Who's to say we might not see Cyclops versus Steve Rogers as well? We might see a form of that maybe in Secret Wars. There might be an evil Steve Rogers that goes hand in hand with Cyclops. We don't know.
Versus debates has been Cyclops versus Captain America. Cyclops destroys Sam Wilson. I can't wait to see this. I love Sam, but Cyclops is my guy. And yeah, Sam doesn't have the super soldier serum, although I don't know why not. He should have just taken it. Steve Rogers took it, man. You could have taken it. But I can't wait to see this. Just Cyclops' optic blast against the shield, I think is going to be cool. Then it also says Yelena corners Mystique. Shang-Chi has scenes with Gambit, but soon every...
They say when Yelena Belova, the new Black Widow or White Widow, whatever you want to call her, when she goes hand in hand with Mystique, if y'all know anything about Mystique's powers, she has the power to shapeshift. In the midst of the fight, she shapeshifts into Yelena Belova, and it's like the two of them fighting each other. Fire.
Everyone resolves things, and this is why Monica Rambeau appears. She's sick from living in another universe. A lot happens, and there are many conversations. And I really like how this person has clearly seen this film, and they're skipping over some things that they don't think a lot of people would find exciting. They're just getting to the juicy stuff, which I kind of appreciate. Then this is where I said it's different with Loki, and I really like this. There are several scenes in the TVA with Steve, Thor, and Loki. They have a beautiful reunion as brothers. This is what I have been waiting for.
I agree. All this stuff, Loki's redemption arc and Loki season 1 and 2. I did want to see him come back together with his brother, and his brother finally see that you're everything that I thought you could be. You could be good. What if we see? Hold on, y'all. What if we see Loki pick up Thor's hammer on some he's worthy type shit?
This is why I've really hated the whole Doom destroys the entire TVA, including Loki. He rips out his heart or he rips out his spine. We've heard a lot of reports about that. I've hated that because I want the reunion. Well,
hold on. Dr. Doom ripping out somebody's spine is iconic in the comic books. We're going to see that. There's no way we get a comic book accurate Dr. Doom in Doomsday and Secret Wars and nobody gets their spine ripped out. I don't know who it might be. Maybe he has an evil Thanos from another universe working for him, and he shows his dominance by ripping his spine out. I don't know, but we're going to see it. Let's not sell that short.
One, I just don't want Loki to die, but I want the reunion with Loki and Thor. This, it says that we're apparently going to get that. And it does say the TVA is completely destroyed, and they show a flashback showing Doom fighting Sylvie. Oh, we actually heard a report before, a while ago, that Sylvie was going to sacrifice herself to save Loki. That might be what we're actually seeing here. A flashback shows Doom fighting Sylvie, and TVA agents Mobius and B-15 appear, but they are also killed by Doom.
No, hold on. How you kill Owen Wilson? How you kill Owen Wilson? Him, Mr. Wham himself, and B-15 fine ass. How you kill the both of them? Oh man, this is gonna be a dark movie. I'm here for it.
Loki does not die. Love that.
Loki doesn't die.
That's why I prefer this one. I mean, it sounds better overall to me, but that's why I prefer this one. Loki does not die, and we get the brothers reunion. I love that, but there is more. After discovering that Doom is the villain, Steve and Thor return to the X-Men's Earth and confront Doom, who reveals himself as the true villain to everyone on the X-Men's Earth. And this is where it sounds like it just gets crazy. It has one of the most insane action sequences I have ever seen. That's what they're saying. We see several robots leaving a department and heading towards the X-Mansion, all controlled by Doom. And the heroes fight against Doom and the robots. Obviously, the robots are Sentinels, and that clearly describes what we are seeing in the Avengers Doomsday X-Men teaser trailer, where Cyclops takes off his visor and releases his optic blast with the Sentinels walking behind him. It does seem like...
Hold on. Why you think your boy got this shirt? You think your boy got this shirt? Yeah. No, I'm talking about. I can't wait to see this shit.
In their universe, they've managed to kind of put them to the side, but Doom can control them with magic and use them against them, which is what he's going to do. And that does sound insane. It says Gambit, Thor, Steve, Cyclops, and Namor against Doom. A 5v1. 5 against 1. Doom kills Nightcrawler and Mystique.
Oh, shit. 5v1 and he take out 2 of y'all?
Yelena asks Bob to try to fight. So Sentry goes after Doom, who, after taking a beating, loses control and the Void takes over. The Void attacks the heroes. Professor Xavier desperately tries to stop it by entering Bob's mind. Xavier is killed by the Void.
Wow.
But manages to control it.
Hold on. So this is another movie where we are going to see Sir Patrick Stewart as Professor X die again. I think this is pretty much a part of pop culture at this point. If you see him as Professor X, he's going to die again. If there's a movie with X-Men, more than likely Professor X is going to die. Are we tired of seeing Professor X die? Everybody that's been watching these X-Men movies since the early 2000s, like that original X-Men trilogy, we've been seeing him die since then. I don't know. They might need to do something different on this one.
Other characters and extras die, but these are the most interesting ones for now. They're really bringing back Patrick Stewart as Professor X again just to kill him off again. I mean, it's a meme at this point. I don't want to see it happen, but I'm almost desensitized to it now.
Facts.
It's almost like he puts it in his contract that he's got to die when he comes back now. I don't know, but that's apparently what we're getting. And it finalizes by saying, after several events, Steve and Thor confront Doom, who reveals his plan, saying he needs Reed and Sue's son to create a new world. That's what we've been thinking for a while now. That's what we've been hearing for a while now. What's really...
Franklin Richards, the baby that Sue Storm, and Mr. Fantastic have. Franklin Richards in the comics, he is a mutant. He's an Omega level mutant, as a matter of fact. He has the power, the ability to just create universes. When he was a kid, he was under his blanket. You know how kids be under the blanket at night? He's under his blanket making little pocket universes. Yeah, kids overly powered. And if you've seen Fantastic Four First Steps, you know that Sue Storm, spoiler alert, nigga, Sue Storm dies in that movie and the baby brings her back to life. What else can this baby do as he gets older? You understand what I'm saying?
Interesting about this is that it lines up with a lot of the old plot leaks that we've been hearing about the film. A lot of the new ones seem like they're coming out of left field a little bit, even though there is validity behind them. But I think I do like this one the most. It says Doom then captures Franklin from the ship that was being protected by Herbie.
He could have just kidnapped him right there. All right, man. He could have just kidnapped him right there at the end of Fantastic Four. Killed Sue Storm. And, well, he probably loves Sue Storm. And rolled off and did what he needed to do. This is interesting.
He is controlled by Doom and ends up becoming his servant. A portal opens up and Doom enters. Steve goes with him. They go to Doom's universe, which is the same as the Fantastic Four's. That's what they state. They go to Latveria, where we see his castle and his servants, all dressed as witches. Doom tells his story to Steve, and we discover that Doctor Strange is his ally along with Clea. And that's where it ends.
Doctor Strange bitch ass gets on my nerves because he's always pulling shit and don't tell nobody what he's doing.
But that lines up with a lot of what we heard. This lines up with both new and old leaks, but I think this is the best version that we have heard so far as plot leaks are concerned.
Okay. So what he's not going to mention at the end, there's supposed to be some climactic fight in Latveria. The X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, the old Avengers, everybody's supposed to be coming at Doom. Doom supposedly fights everybody off that's there in time for the incursions to actually occur. The universes explode. Everybody dies except for Dr. Doom. He takes Loki's powers. He takes Franklin Richards' powers, and he creates Battleworld. That's what he's not going to tell you. And then we're going to have some cutscene. I'm not sure if he's going to take his mask off at some point, but we're going to find out within that movie that he looks like Tony Stark. There's no way we don't address that. Doom looks like Tony Stark.
It's personally my favorite because Loki does not die. Maybe everybody dies at the end, but Doom doesn't kill Loki when he kills kind of everybody at the TVA, which gives us that Thor and Loki reunion. Sounds like Gambit, Thor, Steve, Cyclops, and Namor against Doom. That's going to be crazy. Then Sentry and Professor X and everybody trying to help.
I'm going to let y'all know something. If Doom put hands and feet, if he put paws on the Sentry 1v1, what do you think 5 of you motherfuckers is going to do? Nothing. Nothing.
Doesn't mention anything about Magneto, but you know we're going to get some dope scenes with him. This sounds awesome.
Salute, January.
This sounds like the best to me.
Salute to the January country hymns. What's going on, my guy? What's that? What's that? What you smoking on? What you smoking out of? If you're smoking and where you from? Salute, salute.
But go ahead and let me know what you think about this.
Salute to Cosmic Wonder on that one, bruh. That is a hell of a plot leak that we got so far. I love it, and I'm with him on this one. Loki doesn't die. I don't see Loki dying or whatever. If you do kill him, he has to be the one to get his spine ripped out by Dr. Doom. That's what I want to see. If you're gonna kill off Loki for a final time, he needs to be the one getting his spine ripped out, you know? But tell me in the comments, man, how y'all are feeling about this plot leak so far. Are you going to go see Avengers Doomsday in December 17th? This Ray, you know I don't smoke, fam, but I'm sure love like always. All right, salute. All right, brother, salute, Ray. All right, man, but yeah, on to the next one. Have y'all heard about Miss, I'm not gonna call her doctor anymore, Miss Cheyenne Bryant, and how she's been calling herself Dr. Bryant this entire time, and we have now found out that her credentials are null and void, y'all. Null and void. How would you feel if you paid your money to go see this woman and she gives you some cock and bull story about how she's a doctor, all to find out you've paid her a significant amount of money for life coaching or whatever the fuck she does, to find out that she has no credentials? Would you go and lay on the table and let a doctor give you surgery and they're not a real doctor? It's just a question I had. But we're going to switch it up over here. We're going to check this out, this little story. I think it's funny. Stop listening to every motherfucking body, y'all. Hold on. Let me see something. We'll do this one. This is by way of Pink Book Lessons. This is by way of Pink Book Lessons, y'all. Hold on. Let me get us right. Right. Here we go. Let's check it out. Salute to Pink Book Lessons. Give her a like, comment, and subscribe. Let's check and see what she says.
Did an entire program. Went back online to get my official transcripts because I was applying to a law school many years ago to be a professor there. And I had to provide my transcripts, right, to get hired. And I went to contact the school and say, hey, I need my official transcripts. I need my entire thing. And
hold on. Yo, Ray, anytime you have any sort of move or anything like that you don't put together, please throw it to me so I can look at it on here, my boy. You feel me? Yeah, Capricorn, small content creators stick together. Anytime you got anything you want to see, bro, throw it over here. I'll take a look at it. Salute.
There was no school.
You lied, right? Then you lied about lying. Okay? Then you lied about lying about lying.
I was like, okay, I'm confused. I Google. It says this school has been shut down.
Stop lying!
I said, oh, well, they got to have records. I mean, they were accredited when I attended the school. They were accredited when I finished the program. I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Why I contact the third party, that third party only holds records for 2 years.
Why the you lying?
Why you always lying? My God, stop fucking lying. Yo, I got a GED, man, from a job corps a long time ago in PA, and they still have all my transcripts. This hooker lying.
Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop lying.
Okay, so who is Cheyenne Bryant? Great question.
Because honestly, nobody really knows at this point. She's been cosplaying as a doctor for so long, she started believing
The pink lessons they have to do it like that. The word cosplay is hilarious in this situation right now.
her own lies. She's a wannabe relationship therapist with no relationship, no license, and no actual credentials to call herself a therapist, let alone a doctor. She's been strutting around as Dr. Cheyenne Bryant for years, presenting herself as a certified PhD and relationship expert, popping up on platforms with Nick Cannon, Cam Newton, Shannon.
See, this is why the internet is so vicious. A motherfucker will go and do their own research on your ass. You up here, you up here talking about, I got this chain, I got these credentials. Motherfuckers will go look and see if that shit real. Y'all got to watch what y'all say on this internet, man. Hold on, my boy Ray said, I got you, my boy. I got one more channel I'm actually trying to get together so I can do some reviews and whatnot. I will be there for that, my brother. Let me know. I will be there in attendance.
Sharp, Joe Budden, and The Breakfast Club, gaining high visibility. Then she casually went on a podcast and told everybody she wasn't licensed. So then people started asking, okay, but where's the degree? She came up with this outrageous lie, and when people started questioning her again, she grew more defiant. She said her obedience is to God, not to people. And ma'am, God don't have nothing to do with your scam. Nah.
Oh my goodness, not a Christian doing some fucked up shit and trying to use God as their motherfucking shield. Hey, this ain't Overwatch. That shield don't work, bitch. We on your ass. You're not a doctor. What was that that show we used to watch, and at the end the credits would say, not a doctor. Yeah, not a doctor, ho.
God did not tell you to come to the people with this scheme. Just show the degree. Oh yeah, but she can't because it doesn't exist. All of this made her the biggest fraud in the relationship space since Derek Jackson. Straight up fraud.
What has Cheyenne Bryant, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, whatever,
Miss Cheyenne Bryant, you can call her Miss now,
has done to y'all?
She lied. She presented herself as a therapist, playing around with people's lives and mental health. What do you mean?
Because I do not agree with the masses of Black women that are gathering and unifying together to try and destroy, like there's like a witch hunt to burn this lady at the stake. Because
see, this is what I'm talking about, man. Yo, we got to stop doing this, man. Just because that's a woman don't mean that she ducks any accountability. She's been lying for years. It makes you look stupid. You right here. You right here. It makes you look crazy that you're motherfucking subscribing to somebody's bullshit when they told you I've been lying, and you still trying to find a way to defend. You're still trying to find a way to defend. It looks crazy.
she doesn't hold some sort of title that you have. She's too pretty and she's getting pretty privilege.
Salute.
Stop the baby by bimbo babble. This woman presented herself as a licensed therapist, as a credentialed doctor. It's not just about her not having a degree or a title. It's about the deception, the fraud, using a fake degree that didn't exist and using a title, all this she didn't earn, to legitimize herself for enrichment. People paid this woman real money. We're talking about therapy sessions, thinking they were going to a licensed professional with credentials.
So you're going over there to talk to some woman who finna spill your quote unquote tea, as the children say, to somebody else. Because she doesn't have credentials. She's not a doctor. You're going and telling somebody your personal business that has no business knowing it. This lady is disgusting. She needs to give every dollar that she's ever been given back.
It's not about what she looks like. It's about the deception and the fraudulent activities.
I'm sorry, but this is all just giving hate and jealousy.
You're an idiot.
The difference between jealousy and accountability. Jealous of what exactly? The unverifiable PhD, the unlicensed therapy practice, the records of these 3 PhDs that magically disappeared. See, every time they can't defend bad behavior, they resort to is hate. No.
This goes along with that whole culture of motherfuckers telling you what they identify as. Yeah. You know what? I've saved the world a couple of times when I was a soldier in boots. Guess what I am now? I've saved Angel Grove a couple of times in my lifetime. I'm a Power Ranger now. I have no credentials, no more for nothing. I'm a motherfucking Power Ranger now. If everybody can just come out and say that there's something and everybody just roll with it, I'm a motherfucking Power Ranger. How about that? nigga.
No, you're dealing with a serpent, and nobody's going to defend these Jezebels and these devils more than other Jezebels and devils. Nobody. This woman right here is more concerned about defending a woman that scammed Black women while pretending to be promoting unity or a sisterhood. If your sisterhood involves scammers and deception, then you can't be surprised when nobody's rocking with you. But other scammers, of course, you know y'all stick together over there, that way.
That's all it's given, because she's gained some sort of popularity and celebrity that you don't have, because that's all I hear whenever y'all.
No, she's gained a bunch of people's money that she's been stealing from. She has no credentials. You got 4 motherfucking eyes and can't see, lady?
I'll get on here making these think pieces. I don't care enough about anybody's individual life on social media to want to unify and gather to destroy and tear down another Black woman. If we put that energy into destroying the greater higher ups that are really destroying the Black community, we could be really formative.
No, it got to start at home. If we got fake shit going on in the house, how you gonna go outside the house and tell somebody you want some fake ass shit, you want some grimy ass shit? When we got snake and grimy shit going on right in our community and we're not checking it. Lay fire and brimstone to this non-credential having slore. I hate it.
But
who cares if Cheyenne Bryant is lying about getting a PhD? It's just a PhD. Anybody can get a PhD. You're not all of that because you have a...
You another motherfucker with 4 eyes that can't see. What is going on here, bro? Stop defending scammers. What is this sisterhood bullshit? Stop defending scammers. She's a liar. She's been robbing people. She need to give every dollar she's ever earned back. This is trash. And it would be old scoop ball head motherfucker like yourself goddamn defending her.
PhD. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I just don't get it because you didn't get that far. That's why you don't get it. Because you didn't get that far.
She didn't get that far. She don't got no motherfucking credentials. All right.
You see, I'm not coming from the standpoint of, oh, I'm so elitist, I'm better than you, because I hold multiple degrees. I'm working on my 4th degree, which is a master's of physics, because it is. And I'm...
As of right now, with everything that you just ran down, was saying that you were about to get a master's in physics, you should feel disrespected by somebody just coming out and saying that they have all these credentials that you very much so went to school and worked for. I would think it'd be real disrespectful to actual doctors. This is what I'm trying to get across.
Also not a therapist, so I won't be able to tell you all the doors that will be able to open for you once you get your PhD. But what I do know is that we already live in a world where people assume that we are not qualified enough to be in the room. They're already assuming that you're just the LGBTQIA plus hire. You're just the Black American hire. You're just the African hire. You're just the Arab Muslim hire. You're just the Jewish hire. You're just the Indian Pakistani hire. You're just the Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese hire.
If somebody hires you to be a chef knowing you can't motherfucking cook, what's gonna happen?
You're just a Mexican hire. That's all you will ever be. They needed that person with the personality. Oh, they just needed a pretty woman. Oh, that's it. They just needed their diversity quota to be met. And then on top of that, you ain't got to lie about getting a PhD, because, baby, not being ready for a PhD or just not having it yet is totally understandable for those of us that already hold degrees. I
don't think folks hear themselves when they talk. This is disrespectful to people who actually have degrees. She's a thief. And you're another monster enabling her. This is trash.
Understand why the average human being does not have a PhD. Because, girl, a PhD of physics? Like, girl, it's okay for you to just kick it with us, the kings and queens of master's degrees. But another big reason as to why it's such a big freaking deal is because a lot of non-degree holders assume that those of us that hold degrees, or you may hold a degree, praise the Lord, hallelujah, salvation, glory, hold my hand, welcome to the congregation, no judgment here. A lot of people assume that those of us that hold degrees come from a privileged background. Baby, them degrees come with sacrifice. Those degrees, baby, they hold sweat.
Again, are you hearing yourself speak? The sacrifice, the blood, sweat, and tears, all that money that you spent to go to school for some pretty girl to come up here and start saying, I'm a doctor. I ain't did none of what I'm supposed to do to be a doctor, but I done gave a couple of life lessons before.
Oh, tears.
I was like, okay, I'm confused. I Google. It says this school has been shut down.
Stop lying.
But they got to have records. I mean, they were accredited when I attended the school. They were.
Again, I went to a job corps when I was in my late teens, like 18, 19. I can call them folks right now and they still have all of my transcripts. This hooker is lying.
Credit when I finished the program. I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Why contact the third party? That third party only holds records for 2 years.
Let me tell you, porch monkey, something. You darkies, you jigaboos, you'll never understand because as a
Another four-eyed motherfucker who can't see.
psychology expert with licensure, but I don't have the licensure because you only need that to diagnose. And I went to the university and then I was applying to be a professor at the law school as a PhD holder, my doctoral. Now, as I was getting my doctoral, I came back around. I didn't have the transcripts, but the dissertation. And then at that time I said, therapy. And see, what you don't understand is you don't have to have licensure as a therapist for diagnoses because I'm a life coach. And as a
Shaking my fucking head right now.
psychology expert, what some people are never going to understand about me is when I came back to do that doctoral and the doctoral of it all, the summation at the end of the day, jigaboo.
Have y'all noticed that the satire that she got on right here, the satire she's putting on, the dictation of aspiration. You know what I'm saying? All these big words that you're saying completely nothing. You don't got no fucking credentials, lady. Stop talking. Get off them folks' platforms. Stop lying to people. Or go to school.
They're gonna never understand.
And that's the crazy part. She's straight up gaslighting everybody, acting like if you don't believe her, you're the problem. Like we're too dumb to see through it. Lady, we see through it clearly. And listen, the real PhD holders are sick of frauds like this. I'm talking about people who spent years in debt, writing dissertations, up all night. I mean, folks who did the work.
By the way, if you're a doctor, you have to write a dissertation. Your dissertation is able to be found online for further research for other future students. She don't have no dissertation because it doesn't exist, because she's not a doctor. So I'm trying to let y'all know.
Watch this woman claim the same title they worked for because God told her to? Absolutely not.
It's not my battle.
Well,
That's
with the
his.
questions that are out there, why not provide the proof of your degree? Why not?
Well, a couple of things, right? I have multiple degrees, and my thing is that my proof isn't something that I have to prove to individuals. My proof is already with.
Does Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, have a PhD? That's not for me to determine, but what I will say is that I have a PhD, and here are some relatively easy ways that I can prove it. Here's a picture of me at my graduation in my regalia with my advisor. Here is my degree. I don't have a frame for it yet. It's still rolled up, but I assure you it exists. Here is my dissertation. You could find it online if you wanted to.
You heard what she just said? Her dissertation is online. You can find it if you want to, because when you go through what the process of becoming a doctor, you have to write a dissertation. Your dissertation can be found online for future study for other future students. Letting you know.
You know what else you could find online? Several peer-reviewed research publications written by me and other people who went to the same university as me. Of course, I could also pull my official or my unofficial transcripts, but Cheyenne Bryant says that she doesn't have access to hers, so I'll leave that one out. My dissertation defense was recorded and is available online. While I was in my program, because I was a content creator at the time, you can see videos where I am physically on campus working on my PhD. I have my regalia too, but that's in the storage unit. I'm not going to go get that today.
A woman claiming that she has her doctorate, but can't find her transcripts, dissertation is nowhere to be found, and conveniently, the school that she attended shut down. Girl.
Stop fucking lying, man. She sounds disgusting.
As somebody who actually has their PhD from a Research One institution that was fully paid for by the time that I was 27 years old, I graduated with my PhD. And baby, when you look me up in them records, you're going to find me. And if you want to find my dissertation, you probably could, because it's uploaded to the libraries of the university. That's still open. But I'll say this, 4.4% of graduates that have their doctoral degree in the United States of America are Black women. 4.4%. And that is inclusive of people that have their professional doctoral degrees and their PhDs, which she probably doesn't even know the difference between. But my point is, as somebody that got a PhD, I know what goes into it. I know what goes into it. And every single person around me saw what I went through to get that degree. So when you tell me you don't know where your dissertation is, you can't find them transcripts. Let me tell you, I have them transcripts, hold on.
It's a lie. That's why she can't find her shit. I just want everybody that's just now tuning in. Cheyenne Bryant is not a doctor. She's a liar.
Stop playing with me. And I think she took advantage of the fact that she knows the Black community does not have a lot of representation when it comes to doctoral degrees. So they're not going to know the ins and outs of what go into it. But let me tell you, honey, there is.
And that's sad. She's trying to play on Black folks' intelligence, thinking ain't nobody going to go do their research. I could just tell somebody I'm a doctor. They'll believe me.
A big group of us, 4.4% of us Black women that do have doctorate degrees. And it's, I feel, my responsibility to share with the people what actually goes into this. Because if you really did your dissertation and got your doctoral degree, it didn't matter if that university conveniently closed and they couldn't find your transcripts. You would know that you know your dissertation like the back of your hand, because you're not even taking classes when you are writing your dissertation. The classwork, the coursework is out of, it's done. You're completed it. You spend months, maybe even years writing a dissertation. So if you can't find your dissertation, which is weird, because again, I have mine saved on 3 thumb drives, you could have at least told us,
Salute to the real doctors, the real Black women that went out there and went to school and got what they were supposed to do. Because ain't no way God just told you, you a doctor. You ain't got no credentials. We just gonna name you a doctor. And everybody rolling with it. She's been on all these platforms robbing people.
At least told us what your dissertation was about, okay?
Right. And she can't tell anybody about it because it doesn't exist. It's all in her imagination, the script that she wrote. She's been caused.
I just noticed what this caption said. Whole wall filled with vacation Bible school certificates, not a single degree.
Playing. Remember, she told Shannon Sharp she had 3 PhDs, presented herself as this super smart woman up there.
She got 3 PhDs. Where they at though?
Talking about she had like 9, 10 degrees. Like, girl, from where? Job Corps, ICDC? Like, get out.
She got it from ICDC college. You can't get no motherfucking degree from goddamn Job Corps. Funny as hell, but yeah, she definitely got that shit from ICDC college.
Out of here. Not only is she wrong for defrauding Black women, but she's super disrespectful to the people who actually earned their PhDs. Very disrespectful. Then hiding behind God and this sassy attitude is not going to make her right. At the end of the day, right is right and wrong is wrong, and Cheyenne Bryant is wrong. You're dead wrong. Let's go ahead and get the conversation started. Tell me what you think about this below.
All right, y'all. How we feeling about that? Miss Cheyenne Bryant, this entire time with every platform she's been on, has now been found out that she's not a doctor at all. So she's been robbing folks, taking money for life coaching situations and all that, all to turn out for her to be a complete fraud. It's nasty. It's disrespectful to actual people who are put in the pain and suffering and the financials to become what they became. But y'all tell me how y'all feeling about that one in the comments. You feel me? But on to the next one. We got to bring a racist to the motherfucking congregation. We got to bring him to the front. A guy by the name of Chud The Builder. Anybody know this guy that I'm talking about, Chud The Builder? He's supposed to be a famous streamer who goes around with a gun on his hip, race baiting people of color by calling them racial slurs and daring them to a fight or any sort of physical situation. So he just goes around calling people all sorts of hard ERs and all of that and getting away with it because he got a gun. He can't get nobody gonna jump on him. And he says whenever you trip out on him for him having his freedom of speech to be able to call a Black person a nigger, he says that you're chimping out. Well, he's been involved in a shooting in front of fuck that bitch, exactly. He's been involved in a shooting in front of the Tennessee courthouse. He got involved in a shooting with somebody in front of the Tennessee courthouse, y'all. It's nasty, but we're gonna take a look at it. Hold on for just a second. I want y'all to hear this. This bitch ass. Bam, let's see what we got here. Okay, here we go.
Viral video circulating online purports to show the chaotic aftermath of a racist streamer allegedly shooting a Black man outside a Tennessee courthouse. Streamer Chud The Builder, whose real name is Dalton Etherly, shot the unidentified man during a scuffle on May 13th outside of the court.
He needs to do the time. Any judge that can go back and look at all of his old streams, all the evidence is right there. He needs to sit his ass down.
Courthouse in Clarksville, according to the DA, who said Chud also accidentally shot himself during the confrontation. The 28-year-old has amassed an online following by filming himself spewing vile racial slurs, such as referring to Black people as chimps and openly saying the N-word to get reactions. In footage captured by Clarksville Now, Etherly could be seen tended to by first responders at the scene, where he began streaming his interactions following the alleged shooting. Eatherly can be heard blaming his gunfire on the other.
Look at him, stupid fucking porn mustache, just dumb. Now you gotta think about this, right? When you're sitting in jail after doing some dumb shit, how many of us think, man, I should have just took my ass home? I bet you he wishing he wouldn't have never started none of this. People in this world, human beings, have so much talent, and you use your platform to do silly shit like this. Now you in the blender.
Other man who was black, according to witnesses, saying the man confronted and threatened him over his vile online content.
He said, "You start saying all that chimp out to me, I'm gonna hit you." He hit me, started wailing on me, even after I had to defend myself by shooting him. He's still wailing on me.
Elsewhere in the 16-minute clip, the streamer can be heard asking authorities.
Hold on now. You can't call somebody all sorts of racial slurs and then expect them and then try to dictate how they react. The man told you, if you call me out of my name, I'm going to beat your ass. And he kept doing it. All this rage baiting. You got the reaction you finally wanted. Now you got to deal with the consequences. And I don't know if white America going to save you on this one.
If he shot himself amid the scuffle, noting a graze on his arm. The victim was medically evacuated and is recovering in stable condition, officials said. The mustached antagonist was supposed to appear at the court for a civil case over unpaid debts, which comes just days after he was arrested for allegedly refusing to pay a $400 restaurant bill, even after he polished off his entire meal. Following the shooting...
Oh, he's like a bad person all around. He tried to dine and ditch? Ew.
Eatherly was booked into the Montgomery County Jail, while the local sheriff's office vowed those responsible would be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law.
Nice.
Eatherly has been charged with attempted murder, employing a firearm during dangerous felony, aggravated assault, and reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon.
Okay. I hope they put his motherfucking ass under the jail. They need to put him right next to Beanie Siegel. He needs to be state property, nigga. You don't need to get out ever, because this is what you've been wanting to happen. Now it's here, and you got to deal with it. I hope he don't never get out. I hope they take that little motherfucking prison mustache and put it to good use. But y'all tell me in the motherfucking comments how y'all feel about that one. Chud the fucking Builder with his racist ass. He's in jail for shooting somebody. I hope he never gets out. May you rest in shit. All right, on to the next one. On to the next one. My man Dom said, "Oh, my mama and all them chimps in jail, boy." Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Call somebody a chimp in there. Call somebody a chimp in there. Yeah, let's see how that works out. I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. But y'all tell me in the comments how y'all feeling about that one, man. On to the next one. On to the next one. There is a new show that is on Netflix. It is from the makers of Power. Salute to Courtney Kemp and them. The show is called Nemesis. If you haven't checked this show out, they have a season 1 of it out right now. There is no season 2 confirmed, but with as great and as fire as this show is, it's definitely getting a season 2. If you haven't checked out Nemesis, please go and check it out. But you are in spoiler country over here, Jack. Y'all know how we get down. You feel me? This show is a mixture of Power in the movie with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. Heat. It's Heat mixed with Power. That's what the show is. It's fire, all black cast. Let's check it out, man. Let's check it out right quick. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this right. We're gonna go with this is gonna be by way of Brain Pilot today. I think that's what we're gonna do. Brain Pilot. They always, you know what I'm saying, giving us what we need, you know what I'm saying, getting straight to the current. Let me see. Where's Brain Pilot at? I didn't know they're here. No, they're here. Is it Brain Pilot? I got y'all. Give me just a second. As a matter of fact, would everybody like to see the trailer for this? Let's see the trailer for this. Hold on, y'all. Let me get y'all right. Let's check out the trailer for this.
Real men live by our own set of rules. Nah, real men know right from wrong.
Big bag, yeah. I got a real addiction for this cash, yeah.
4 perps set high-level targets, changing their MO every time.
Do you think this is that same crew you've been looking for?
I know it. They killed my partner.
Officer down. Come on, man. He's not your guy. He's a reformed black businessman who turned his life around. Think of what you could cost him if you're wrong.
Think of how many more people will die if I'm right.
Remember we said we'd be out?
One more big job, and then start the next chapter of our lives.
What's the word?
6 million in untraceable diamonds. Get to work.
I'm gonna catch this crew. It's only a matter of time.
I got a real ambition. I got a real ambition.
When two people meet, one yields to the other. You're playing with fire. I got it all wrong. See, I'm Prometheus. I bring the fire. He's not just any cop. He's cutthroat just like me. He's been obsessed with me since the moment we met. He's taunting me.
Why can't I get through to you, Isaiah? Where are you?
Find a way to shut him down. Or you going back inside. Or worse.
We're gonna take everything back.
You got eyes on him?
And we're gonna take it in blood.
Okay, seems pretty action-packed to me, right? Seems pretty motherfucking action-packed to me. Nemesis, they just had a season drop-off. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can, y'all know this spoiler country. We're gonna get into it, hold on. Let's see, we can get a quick little breakdown of the season. Okay, so you seen light-skinned dude in there, right? He kind of reminds me of, if you watch that show, SWAT with Shamar Moore, kind of reminds me of that. But right now, we're going to get into the whole breakdown of it. Y'all can go back and watch it, because anything that I show y'all, I tell y'all, it's not going to feel like if you're actually watching the show. That shit had me and my wife locked in. But we're going to get into the breakdown of what happened, y'all. This is by way of movie by
Season 1. What a show. Everything you'd want from a Courtney Kemp show that she's involved in. And let's be honest, a lot of us definitely know what to expect when it comes to what Courtney Kemp can deliver. We've all watched Power before. But at the same time, sometimes we don't know what she can deliver, because that's just what she does. At the drop of a dime, there'll be a moment that makes us question a certain character, as I'm sure we all question Charlie's true intentions, because at one point she put a target on Dion's back, Noah's back, and also sent Harper after Coltrane. Courtney Kemp can make us question all these.
Yeah, this cat right here, he reminds me of Shamar Moore on SWAT, man. A lot of folks are saying, well, I don't like his acting. He trying too hard. Nah, that nigga was fantastic, man. Salute the buddy right here, man, playing the quote-unquote good guy, because I kind of feel like nobody on the show is really a good guy. If you're willing to do anything to win, even if you're supposed to be the good guy, you're not the good guy.
Character morals, ethical dilemmas that they may have, their integrity, reputation, as we did with Isaiah Styles. A lot of you will be very familiar with the theme good versus evil. It's what we saw here when you find yourselves questioning both Coltrane and Isaiah in terms of their decision making. There may be a mole, just like we saw Harper or a CF.
Hold on, you said what the fuck is he supposed to do? Okay, when you're a police, right, Dom? When you're a police, there's certain lines that you can't cross. Kind of like when I was watching Batman: The Dark Knight, right? There were certain things that Commissioner Gordon could do, certain jurisdictions that he had. You had to get dirty to get certain players. That's where Batman stepped in. He didn't have any jurisdictions. When you are a police, you have jurisdictions. You can't do things like put out a mob hit, which happened in this movie, in this show. A police officer called a mob hit on somebody. It's not like, so like I said, if you're willing to do anything to win, you're not a good guy, even if you're supposed to be.
Guy with Andre, or an undercover cop who played a part in Dion's downfall. Love, as we saw with Ebony and Candice facing their own issues, twists and turns that we don't expect, action, violence, sex, death, and well, power. And this show had it all from start to finish. And one of the biggest compliments that I could actually give this show was the fact that I found myself not really comparing it much to Power. Sure, there were a lot of Easter eggs and nods to Power with familiar faces, but this show definitely had all the traits of a Courtney Kemp show, but with a great twist. It was more than just about cops and robbers. It was more than just about Coltrane Wilder versus Asai Styles. However, these were two characters who were center stage with everything existing around them. They were integral to this first season, with Styles looking.
You got Coltrane and you got Officer Styles here. Officer Styles is a lieutenant. He's up for captain to where he can be home with his kid, his son. His son plays basketball, but you know how kids think. It don't matter how many jobs you work for them, all they remember is you not being there. So he's an absent father. His marriage is on the rocks, and he's been obsessed with this case where his trainee got killed 2 years ago by this crew, and Coltrane is the head of it. These guys go around robbing, high stakes robberies. Sometimes bodies pop up. In the case of his trainee had to get clipped so that my man right here, Coltrane, could get away. He never let it go. Styles never let it go. So for 2 years, he's been on this case, secretly working it by himself to the point where he's obsessed, where it's cost his marriage and it's cost his relationship with his son, and it damn near cost his job.
To avenge his former partner's murder that happened 2 years ago. And in his eyesight, he had a team who he was after that was led by Coltrane Wilder, the same team that killed Styles' trainee partner, Manny Shaw. After another jewelry store heist goes wrong, Styles locked in on Coltrane as his main suspect and becomes obsessed with putting him and his crew in jail. The problem he had was his obsession and his overzealous nature starts to have a huge impact on his own personal life with his wife Candice, his son Noah, and also his...
Hold on. Before we get any further, I just want to let y'all know that the hoarder is coming. This man's wife, bruh. This man's wife. There's no way you're going to be staying married to me and you going out on coffee dates and tongue kissing motherfuckers, but talking about I want to work on my marriage. She was a complete villain in this show, if you ask me.
Career. Come the end, who won? Coltrane said he won, but in reality, did either of them win or did they both lose? Are we in for a round 2? There's definitely a lot of talking points to take away from this season of Nemesis, and judging by the ending, I don't think it's going to be a one-season thing either. I do think there will be a season 2, so I will be dropping a couple of breakdowns on Nemesis. We're going to be running through a recap and asking the question in regards to good versus evil, Asai Styles versus Coltrane Wilder. In the follow-up videos, we'll run through more theories, character analyses.
This show was so good, man. It had me rooting for the bad guys. It had me rooting for the robbers to get away scot-free. But y'all know, y'all seen in every movie, take it, just set it off and all of that, right? Nobody really gets out alive when it comes to robbing shit. Everybody always ends up shot up.
Diving deeper into the psyche of some of these characters, as well as a lot of the power references that I'm sure you guys noticed as well, because there definitely were quite a few familiar faces, and also the mention of ghosts a few times as well. With that being said, let's get into the story of Nemesis.
By the way, this does not exist in the Power universe, so I know he might be confusing a couple of people with the language as far as him mentioning Power and some of the similarities. All it is just Courtney Kemp hired some of the people that used to play on Power. She put them over on this show. That's all it is. This show is not in the same universe or nothing. So let's not get that confused.
Season 1, where business was business until it became personal. Now, the show opens up on Halloween night in Beverly Hills with Coltrane and Ebony Wilder pulling off a heist. We saw Coltrane slipping through the side door while Ebony kept up her appearances from inside. And I was really...
The way that they did this was they were at a Halloween party. Him, Coltrane and his girl here, Ebony, show up looking like Nino Brown and the girl that he was fucking behind his brother back. You know what I'm saying? You remember the one with the little swoop, you know what I'm saying, that was dancing and all that? New Jack City. Yeah, that's who she's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So they slip into the bathroom of this illustrious party in Beverly Hills, and they pay the guard like $200 so that they can go in one of the bedrooms in the mansion and fuck. Whole time, they got a 5-minute timer. This is enough time for Coltrane to slip into another room, get dressed into some different gear, rob a high-stakes illegal gambling game that's being held at the party, and slip back in untraced. I thought it was beautiful.
Impressed with the way they moved, the way they handled their business, especially Train. He was a man who was very well prepared and calm. Straight off the bat, they gave us a glimpse of who these guys were and what this show was about. He had a team that was made up of himself, Stro, Dion, and Choi, and also his wife Ebony played a part as well. They'd been working together for 12 years, and in episode 1, we saw them clean out a poker room full of guests, with one of them being their own. As we learned a bit later on, they always have an extra planted just in case things were to go south. And we definitely know how quick things can turn, as we all learned a bit later on. We also saw none other than Cooper Sachs, who went by the name Harvey. Now, they were here for the money and nothing else. It didn't matter if Harvey was wearing a Patek that was worth $250K. Coltrane from the minute go showed he was very meticulous, strategic, calm, collected, methodical, and a man with not only just a plan, he expects you to stick to the plan.
Okay, with Buddy saying that, right? With Buddy saying that. They were in there robbing the game. They were there for the money. The Dion nigga, who happens to be one of the dumbest characters I have ever seen, Courtney Kemp and them come up right next to Zeke, dumbass. The Dion nigga, he tells him, hey, we're here for the cash, nothing else. The watch can be traced back. When they get in the car after they make the score, you find out that Dion has the watch. How many people out there would have clipped Dion the moment that I told your bitch ass, don't take that watch, and you took it anyway? With plans on selling it. Couldn't sell it because it's insured, meaning it's traceable. So he's wearing it around LA like he just that nigga. If we're in something that's life or death and you fuck up the plan being selfish, I'm clipping your ass. That's me. That's how it's gonna go.
Collected, methodical, and a man with not only just a plan, he expects you to stick to the plan. The plan was to raid the gambling spot for 1.7 million, but it was Dion who decided to steal the Patek. And ever since, it was a snowball effect with Dion, who you could really tell from the...
Just a stupid motherfucker, man. Just the moment I would have found out he took that watch, this your last job, my boy. That's it.
Jump would end up being a liability, because in all honesty, that's what he was, a liability. Now, Coltrane and his crew hadn't really hit that many robberies over the past year or so. They normally hit 4 robberies per year, but we learned they hadn't hit one in the last 7 months. That was because of Ebony's unfortunate miscarriage. So these guys were really hungry, especially Dion. He had a lot of mouths to feed as we...
This fucking clown right here, this the one that took the watch, right? He gonna tell Coltrane like, yo, bro, we gonna chill out on the jobs. I feel like shit is getting a little too hot. We gonna fall back. This country ass hood nigga right here, man, fuck all that. I got mouths to feed. This fool had a wife, a couple of kids, and then he had a whole nother family on the side of town with some Spanish girl who also had twins. So he just around here moving and grooving. He's so desperate for bread that he not thinking with any type of way that they move, not knowing that the job or not recognizing that the job that they do to get the money, it's life or death. Anything could go wrong. You either end up dead or in jail. He didn't understand that. I would have clipped him that first job after I found out he had that watch. That's just me.
Learned he had a wife and a whole separate life that nobody knew about. Now, on the other side of the law, we had Isaiah Styles. He was going through a bit of a rough patch when it came to his personal life and also his career. He was separated from his wife, Candice, and he's never really been the same ever since.
Separated ain't the word, man. You see this house that they in right now? They have like a little tiny house in their backyard. My man don't even stay in the house with his wife and his son. He stay in the tiny house in the back with a little bed and all of that. It's this. Why stay married if we gonna do all that, bro? I can't. That's like sending a nigga to the couch. Remember in the old TV sitcoms where the wife be like, "You're sleeping on the couch tonight." She sent that nigga to sleep in his own couch. That's crazy.
The death of his trainee partner, Manny Shaw. Over the past 2 years, he's continued to put his job first, which has basically become his obsession. Even when he's with his son Noah, when he's playing basketball, or whether they're having lunch, he's always got his walkie-talkie, or he's always constantly texting to check up on his cases. And that naturally caused a wedge in his relationship with Candice, and also pushed Noah in Amos's direction, who is Isaiah Styles' father,
Okay, so this guy right here, another stupid motherfucker. This is Styles' father right here. This is Lieutenant Styles' father, Amos. Amos used to be in the street, crippin'. They called him Nightmare. That was his little nickname around the way, whatever. Supposedly, they don't have a great relationship. And if you watch the show, you'll find out why they don't have a great relationship.
aka Nightmare. If you want to look at an example from Power, the moment Ghost was distracted, and especially the period where he was in jail, who did we see Tariq gravitate towards? It was the influence of Kane and Stark. But back to Nemesis, we learned a bit later on just how he got his nickname, because he was a menace in the streets, he was a ruthless OG, and there was also a lot of history here between Isaiah and Amos as well. Amos's history is one of the reasons why he wanted to keep Noah away from Nightmare, and a few of the young guns later on also found out exactly why he was called Nightmare. He really was basically a nightmare. Now, what made this plot between cops and robbers really intriguing from the jump? was the fact that Asai's wife Candice and Coltrane's wife Ebony, they became close friends through a community project. All while in the background, their husbands were waging war against each other in the street.
So they had some little gala that they went to in the show, right? His wife threw some gala for a lawyer that Styles and her used to go to school with. Come to find out, the lawyer that they're throwing this gala for, Styles took his wife away from that man. That used to be his girlfriend. So they're at the gala, and my man Styles now knows that it's a possibility that this Coltrane character right here is the head of the crew that killed his partner. And when I was watching it, I knew. I said, he's not gonna be subtle. I said, when he see this nigga, he gonna let him know I'm on to you. I'm gonna let you know. You never let the left hand know what the right hand doing. I would have never told that fool that I know what he got going on. Because he all but arrogantly let him know, yeah, I'm breaking the law. Yeah, I rob people. You got to prove that. What you going to do about it?
And that's a relationship that really begins to shift the dynamic throughout this season, with Ebony playing a role within Coltrane's organization. It didn't matter if Candice was a friend. She got vital details about Asai Styles' case, fed that to Coltrane. And
look at this. Look at this order. She had coffee date with the lawyer they threw the gala for from college, and she kissing on him. He hitting her with the, oh, you know, I always thought that I was a better fit for you. Shut up, nigga. And the entire series, he's smiling in Styles' face, all behind him trying to fuck his wife at the same time. And her nasty ass ain't even telling him that she meeting up with this cat. She's a villain. This is Tasha Green 2.0.
Even pushed her in the direction of Malik. More on that a bit later on. So there definitely was a really interesting dynamic unfolding in the background, away from Styles versus Wilder, and each chess piece, each chess move, and each and every single character was integral to the larger storyline and the chessboard. Now, things start to take a real turn when Dion continues to make more mistakes, and it was more than just one. Stealing the Patek was one thing, which Coltrane, Choi, and Stroh dealt with a side mission.
What they did was they pulled up on Cooper Sachs and they gave him the watch back and said, bitch, if you tell anybody that we stole the watch or that we gave it back to you, you up out of here.
Broke into Harvey's home and gave him the watch back, which meant the complaint and case was dropped. But Dion stealing the Patek was one thing. He then got distracted during the second mission we saw because he...
Okay, this mission right here, right? Coltrane's wife, his sister is like the plug that gives the whole crew all of their jobs. Well, her sister gives all the crew all their jobs or whatever. She gives them a job to where they're supposed to be robbing some diamonds from a jewelry store owned by some gangsters. So, you know, if you're doing anything illegally and everything's a front, when something come up missing, especially if it's not on the books, you can't really say nothing no way because everything's illegal. So with the amount of time that they have to hit these 3 different spots and get these certain amount of diamonds, I want to say it's like $6 million or something like that, $9 million, something like that the crew is supposed to get. They devised a plan to where they would just demolition through the walls and go to each store before the cops even get there. They set up a whole situation where all the units of the cops were downtown responding to some shooting of some sort, and they had just enough time to go in here and do what they had to do before any authorities show up. In the midst of this Dion character, the stupid nigga, he's over here gambling away his money. He's looking at the TV trying to gamble on the trash ass Clippers, and he's not watching the security guard on the left side of the screen here. Security guard draws down. We ended up having a body. Anytime you're in a situation where it's supposed to be clean and bodies pop up, nothing good comes from that. He was distracted. It could have got everybody killed. I told y'all I would have clipped him first job when he stole that watch.
Was way too invested in his side hustle. And when I mean his side hustle, I mean gambling. During the raid of the 3 jewelry stores, he got distracted by the TV when they were going through the sports scores, and that's what gave the guards the time to pull their piece, which meant they had no choice but to fire back and killing those 2 guards. When Charlie then learned about what happened, when she realized that Dion was the problem, she even tried to have him eliminated.
I'm with Charlie on this one. Charlie was thinking the same way I was. If he gets clipped, we have no more problems.
The same goes with Bianca. Any liabilities, any loose threads, any loose slips, they have to go. But again, Coltrane is a man who is very well prepared, snipers up in the hills. And what did we say about Coltrane before?
Coltrane was locked up with all these guys in his crew at some point, right? But Dion, and as you can see, battle rapper Dumbfounded, the Asian guy that had the sniper rifle, they're all former military and they got locked up for some dumb shit. He meets them in jail and he puts together this crew. When they get out, everybody start robbing.
This was a man who always did his due diligence. He's a man who played chess and was ready for any given situation. He even knew Charlie was behind it. The problem with this was the damage that Dion caused was way too big to undo. The way he was speaking, C-Day, cuz, his gambling problem, his constant mistakes and him being distracted, that was always going to give Isaiah Styles his way in. And that's exactly how he managed to close in. Styles used one of his connections in the gang unit, who was Ika, to find a CI who was within a gambling operation. He questioned whether anybody was putting large money on.
By the way, Styles was doing all of this off the books. He was not supposed to be talking to this CI. He got a Samoan homeboy that's also a cop, gave him the CI's name. He go in there and rough up the CI. My man was supposed to be setting up the meeting, and you went behind his back. It burned a couple of bridges. This is why I say the Styles character, if you're willing to do anything just to win, even if it's bad, you're not really a good guy. You're not the good guy that you think you are.
The Clippers or anybody making large bets, he then led him to Dion. So thanks to Dion, they all pretty much ended up on Styles' radar, and from then on, it really was a ticking time bomb. Dion was a ticking time bomb. The next job, which was the final heist, the job that would set him up for life, actually went smooth as it could have done. Dion actually really held it down. He didn't blink or get distracted. Everybody played their role and played their part. They got the ketamine, and that was it. That was
Charlie, which is Ebony's sister, gives them a last job to where it's so lucrative. I want to say it's $9 million that they get in here, right? To rob a truck full of ketamine and all kinds of shit like that. They go and they rob and get the truck. Everything goes very, very smooth, all for the buyer to back out and say he not paying nobody. Now, me personally, if I'm Coltrane, I'm telling Charlie, you owe me and my crew $9 million. I don't give a fuck what the buyer did. We did our part. Where my $9 million? He didn't press enough on that, in my opinion.
supposed to be them done for good. The problem was the buyer then backed out, which left everybody in limbo, from Charlie to Coltrane, all the way down to Dion, who was affected by it the most. Now, regardless of whether there was a payday or no payday, this was Coltrane's final job. He kept his word to his crew, and he was now keeping his word to Ebony. She was pregnant again, they had their second chance, and with Coltrane making her a promise to get out of this game, that's exactly what he was sticking by. But Dion being Dion, him living two separate lives with...
Look at this idiot, man. You a whole fucking thug. You got street ties. You've been locked up before. You crippin' and all of that. And you in a regular house right here with a G-Wagon in the driveway. Alarm for cops. Niggas be too hot, bruh. That shit be killing me. There'd have been a Toyota Corolla sitting in that motherfucking driveway fucking with me. Nobody would have never known what I was doing.
Two women, having kids with another woman, him having to provide for both, all while dealing with his gambling habit. He just couldn't help himself. He took the key from Troy, he took the product, and he thought he could make a deal on his own with connections that he had in the streets. He spoke about how everybody always underestimated him, thought that he couldn't do things on his own, or that he wouldn't amount to much.
Again, they got all of that product in the truck, and it's going nowhere because the buyer backs out. This stupid motherfucker right here steals the key to the truck from the Asian dude in their crew, and he decides that he's gonna make a deal of his own to get all of the bread that they were supposed to get, not knowing that he's about to sell to an undercover cop that's in Styles' unit because he's so stupid he don't vet nobody.
And this was him trying to prove everyone wrong. He was trying to prove that he's got what it takes to make these deals on his own. Unfortunately, all he did was prove why he needs supervision, or why he's a soldier and not a leader. So with him cutting his own deal on the side, he was caught in a sting operation involving an undercover cop, where Dion then goes out in heavy gunfire.
I will give it to him. The warehouse where they were meeting up at that might have had a bunch of evidence of past crimes that they've done and all that, plus the truck that was full of all the product. He did go out the right way. He set the whole warehouse on fire, and then he went out shooting just in case they put him in that little ass room and he ended up snitching. Because you know, when they put you in that little ass room, the first thing they do is say, man, come here, man. You know you got kids. You got 2 baby mamas, 2 wives, 4 kids. You really want to go away for Coltrane? You really want to go away from it? So that would have been a way to get him to snitch. So to get take himself off the board, he comes out shooting. Of course, they clipped him up, and that was that.
Now, even though Styles wanted him alive, that was the moment where Styles finally got one up on Coltrane, the moment where everything changed, and also where the battle between Styles and Coltrane began to explode into action. We then saw Isaiah confront Coltrane while he was beside his own father's grave, And this was him making his chess moves. We learned earlier on when Coltrane was in prison, he was very quiet, kept himself to himself, and he was someone who always played chess. But this was Asaya Styles now making his move.
When he met Buddy in the graveyard, light skin here was here telling him, "Yeah, I got you, bitch. It's all but a matter of time." You know, Coltrane telling him, "Dude, quit while you're ahead. You're never gonna catch me. You take me in now. If it's like that, you're never gonna catch me." So I like the whole when the big bad and the supposed good guy come together and they do the whole "I'm gonna catch you, bitch." No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. They did a lot of that in this, and I loved every time that they talked because Coltrane was getting smart with this fool, and he couldn't control his emotions. He had this face the entire series, just mad because shit wasn't going his way.
Closing the walls in from every single direction. He didn't just deliver the news that Dion was dead, he raided Wilder Holdings with his assets frozen, he embarrassed Wilder, ruined his reputation, integrity, and image. And for the first time, Styles was on top. He wasn't just here to play games, like we said earlier on, and when you have someone as obsessed as Styles, it can really go one of two ways. And we actually did see both ways play out in the subsequent episodes, where his obsession went against him, but also where it put him on the right path of uncovering the...
He was so obsessed with getting Coltrane Wilder that his partner here, girl right here, she said, "I'm not going down with you. Let me get the fuck away from you before I lose my motherfucking job too." Because the captain done told you to leave it alone. As a matter of fact, the captain was trying to put Styles in so that he could be captain, so that he could stop all this craziness. He just would not let this particular case go. And I'm gonna tell you, sometimes that obsession, it'll be what drags you under.
Truth, and eventually also his team, thanks to Detective Cruz. But the fact that he was here making these moves of not just raiding Wilder Holdings, but also Coltrane and Ebony's home, the room that they had set up for their baby that they just lost, Coltrane knew the only move to make in this situation was to go on the attack. He had to play on the offensive. Ebony wanted to leave the US, but Train said,
"Not gonna lie to y'all, when all that stuff happened after the house got raided, I would have listened to my woman. We'd have left the country and went somewhere with no extradition." This whole I have to win the, and that'd be the thing about motherfuckers. Coltrane has the exact problem that Styles has. Don't know how to let something go. So after the whole police raiding his house and all of that, he couldn't just let it go. He has to go get his get back. And his wife right here is telling him, "Look, let's just leave. I'm pregnant. Let's go to some other country and live the rest of our lives." My man said, "Nah, sometimes the only way through something is to actually go through it." What the fuck? Nigga, the feds is looking for us. I'd have been Ebony, he'd have been talking to me on the phone from Morocco or wherever Dom and all them went, Dominic Toretto and all them went at the end of Fast and Furious. I'd have been talking to his ass on the phone from over there. You're not going to catch me.
that the best decision was to stay the course, see this through, because sometimes the best form of defense is actually attack. Him, Stro, and Choi made Dean a promise that they were gonna make things right. They took away Dion, they took away Coltrane's money, his business, his reputation, and now he was promising to take everything away from Styles. And they weren't afraid to take it in blood either. Now, if it wasn't clear and obvious already which side you guys were on at this moment in time, I'm sure right about now you would have probably made your choice if you hadn't made your choice before. And I do think it is important to say, even though I am actually Team Wilder, he may have been a reformed business.
See, this show is so good. It has you rooting for the bad guys. You hope they get away.
Man, he may have been out of the game at one point where he did manage to turn his life around, but he definitely isn't a good guy. He's a cop killer, a thief, a violent man who wasn't afraid to take it to the streets and also take blood. We saw how he killed countless of cops. He definitely isn't a good guy. Like we previously made the case for Ghost not being the good guy of power, but somehow you find yourself rooting for them anyway. But as the story progresses and as the story unfolds, you then start to uncover more layers of this particular character. On the other side, you had a very obsessive cop who wanted to do things the right way.
My man was on the news. Styles was on the news looking right at the camera like, I know who y'all are and I'm going to catch y'all. This was the beginning of the end right here after that diamond heist.
Wanted to bring these guys in and get justice the right way. But sometimes his overzealous nature can always go against these types of characters. And I don't think there is a right or wrong in terms of who you're rooting for. Some will be on Team Styles and some would have been on Team Coltrane. But if you were on the fence in terms of who you were rooting for, by the time we got to this particular stage here, I'm sure this would have been the moment where you would have made your choice. Team Messiah Styles or Team Coltrane Wilder. Now, Coltrane definitely knew he was up against it. Styles had made his move and he was closing in from every single direction. So this is where we saw Train deploy a multi-layered revenge mission that included Candice being set up with Malik. So they could then use this in a blackmail scheme if they needed to a bit later on. Throughout his own investigation, he also learned that Amos was Styles' father, and their relationship wasn't that great. That's also something that Train decided to play on to get back at Styles.
Okay, this part right here, right? Let me see if I can get this right. This part right here that we're looking at. You got Styles' father, who used to be a gangbanger, was locked up with Coltrane Wilder and the rest of the guys on the team. He shows up, Coltrane shows up to Nightmare's house one day and says, do you want to make some money? You haven't seen these people in a month of Sundays, and all of a sudden they come up with some do you want to make money type scheme, and you know how they get down, and you just roll with them. None of that seemed weird to you at all. So I already knew that Styles' father was probably going to die or go to jail. It was a setup from jump. And niggas be so quick to go get some cash and go get into some gangster shit that they don't even think.
Later on, throughout his own investigation, he also learned that Amos was Styles' father, and their relationship wasn't that great. That's also something that Train decided to play on to get back at Styles. One of the best forms of attacking someone in this type of game is the use of family. They're not in the drug game as such, but the same principles definitely apply that we often speak about so often with power. When it comes to weaknesses in the street game, they definitely still stand. Family can be targeted as a form of weakness, and this was a very clever.
That's a fact. Most of the time, characters like this, they try and keep their family away from the business, but it never happens. Your family can definitely be used as pawns in these certain types of situations. How many times did we see somebody having to go rescue Tariq because he done got into some bullshit on power? People using your family against you.
Chess move by Train, using Amos not just as a wheelman, but framing him for Andre's murder at the same time, making him take the fall. The way in which he gave the gun to Amos just to get his fingerprints on it, just so they could use it to frame.
Now look at this. They're in the car and they're on the way to go kill this this Armenian drug lord, Armenian gangster, and take all his money. Coltrane hands Styles' father this gun. As you can see, he doesn't have on any gloves as he's supposed to be the wheelman. If you've ever been in anything and you know what we're about to go do, why are you grabbing that gun bare hand? Hold on, give me a glove. Let me get that right quick. He wasn't even thinking because he's so quick to get into some gangster shit because that's all he knows. Trash.
For Andre's murder was a very clever chess move, again showing how Coltrane is someone who always thought 3 moves ahead. Now Train did also warn if the cops were in their way, they were going to hit them hard, and that's exactly what we saw around the episode 6 mark. A crazy gunfire starts with a lot of law enforcement members going down, and
okay, the way that this gunfight starts, right? Coltrane Wilder and his crew are all in this little sprinter right here I'm pointing to. As they're in the sprinter, caught in traffic, they made the heist. They killed the Armenian gangster. They framed Styles' father. Everybody's about to get away clean, but they're stuck in traffic right here. As my man turns to the right, Stroh turns to the right, he sees in the other car the cops that are actually after him on the case. Now, I'm not sure how anybody would have handled that, but Stroh immediately pulls his gun out and he sprays the car up. He sprays the car with those officers in there that are on the case, which leads to this gunfight right here in the middle of the street where a bunch of cops died and a couple other people got clipped. It was crazy, that gunfight. But I will give it to Styles' father. He got out and started killing cops too. Wow.
Again, I will ask you guys a question. You may not agree with Styles' methods or his overzealous nature, but was he right in terms of Wilder being a bad guy? I definitely think so. Just think about how many innocent lives would have been lost in this situation. Now, during this gunfight, the trainee Brinkley also took a shot to the chest from Amos.
That's right. Styles' father ends up shooting Styles' new trainee, the young boy here. Caught one. Dropped him.
Often do say during my breakdowns of power, history doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. And this was one of those moments. When Amos and Styles locked eyes, Styles hesitated to pull the trigger, but Amos didn't. However,
how would you feel if you was in a gunfight, you saw your father on the other side shooting at you? Would you take the shot? If you had the one up, would you take the shot, or would you do what Styles did and hesitate?
The only guys from the crew that managed to escape were Amos and Coltrane. Stroh took a couple of hits, and so did Choi, who are both in police custody at this moment in time and in hospital recovering. And that's something to definitely keep in mind for season 2. Now, due to all this chaos, there was always going to be consequences and repercussions, and one of them was Styles losing his gun and badge, which in my opinion shouldn't really be a shock to anyone.
We knew that was going to happen from the entire time the show was going on, how he just didn't want to let shit go. I knew he was going to lose his gun and badge. It was sad to see, but it's one of those, the captain's telling him, you were working outside the books and they got a bunch of people killed. You needed some backup and you knew what was going on and didn't tell anybody. They got a lot of people killed. So he ended up having to give up his gun and badge because the captain said, if you knew where they were, who told you where they were? Who told him where they were was a cartel head. So this is, again, what I mean. If Dom is still watching, my man Dom's gas station is still watching. Styles, a lieutenant of the law, went to a cartel leader and asked for some information to find these guys. If you're willing to do anything to win, even if it's the bad thing, are you really a good guy?
However, we knew this was never really going to stop Styles from doing whatever he wanted to do, continue chasing this case and continue chasing Coltrane Wilder. We know cops who are overzealous and obsessive, they'll stop at nothing to get what they want, especially with Amos now being pulled into the situation by Coltrane. And
this fool, they done pulled the heist off and he still got the clothes from the heist on. Them bitches would have been in somebody's trash can or burned by now. Just stupid.
That was really the next battle between Train and Styles. The first to get to Amos. Train wanted to get rid of a loose thread, and Styles wanted to get to his father to get to justice, and also because he wanted Train. Now with Amos, he was planning his escape through an old acquaintance, Earl Hayes. He owned a strip club, but
I will give it to Amos. Amos was like, I got all this money, I'm finna go to Mexico. My man right here
still had his hand in the...
My man right here was going to give him safe passage to Mexico, give him a new ID and all that. But he was like, my man with the IDs and all that ain't going to be in here till tonight. You're going to have to sit in here in this strip club amongst all this ass and titties until my man showed up. I'm not chilling in no strip club when I'm wanted for murder. I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do that.
The import and export business. He was basically the man who could get Amos across the border into Mexico. With Styles, he did eventually find the name Earl Hayes through Ika, and he did come face to face with his pops in the strip club, where Train was watching on as well. They were both there for the same man. At the same time, we also saw Harper slipping Train.
Harper is working for Coltrane. She's a dirty cop. She slips Coltrane Styles' service weapon, because if y'all can remember what I just said, he just turned in his gun and badge. And his service weapon is going to be now used in a crime.
A package, and that was Styles' gun that was taken from him when he was suspended. Unfortunately, none of them could do anything at this particular moment in time because in came law enforcement. But with Train being 3 moves ahead, he knew Amos couldn't leave without taking back the necklace of Josiah. That was Amos' second son, who'd unfortunately passed away many years before. He overheard a lot of conversations and also saw the necklace in...
We're not going to do all that. Amos was in the gang and he introduced his son, Josiah, into the gang life. Josiah got killed in the streets. That is why Styles and his father do not have a great relationship, because he introduced his brother to the gang life and his brother ended up getting killed while your sorry ass is still walking around alive.
Himself when he broke into Josiah's house. He knew before Amos made his escape, there was no way he would leave without that chain. And that's where they came face to face. That's where Amos went down with Noah hiding in the cupboard, witnessing Train killing his grandfather. Checkmate. Now, with Amos's death, Noah at the crime scene.
Okay, this kid. This is Styles' son, Noah, the basketball star and all that. If this isn't the dumbest, I want to be street, but I don't have a street bone in my body ass kid I've ever fucking seen. He's worse than Tariq, bruh. So he sees Coltrane kill his grandfather right in front of him. His grandfather told him hide in the closet. He's watching this whole thing happen. His grandfather handed him a gun. He could have saved his grandpa, but he was too scared to shoot. So he says, I'm going to go spin for grandpa. He finds himself a gun, and now he's missing, trying to go look for Coltrane to get back some get back for his grandpa. Just non-street and stupid. Boy, go to school. Go play basketball. You know you ain't built like that. It's all fair.
As being at the crime scene, a cop who at that particular moment in time was suspended due to his obsession and mistakes. Cruz, Captain Jimmy, and Harper walking into the crime scene, they didn't know what to think or make of the situation. They don't know if it was Noah who pulled the trigger with a gun in hand. They don't know if it was Styles who pulled the trigger. They had no idea if Noah pulled the trigger, with Styles then taking the rap for his son. The whole situation was a complete...
As he should have.
and a tremendous.
That's one thing Ghost wouldn't do. Ghost ain't gonna take the rap for nobody. Hey, nah, nigga, I'm about to be the governor, Tariq. We gonna go ahead and let them people know that you killed a cop, and yeah, we'll get you some help.
Yes, a mess that Captain Jimmy did want to help with. He did give Styles a way out of the situation by trying to tell him they'll make him look like the hero in the situation, because this is someone who he actually really cared for. He wanted to make Styles the next captain after he had retired. He was also there at the Thanksgiving with their family, but this was a situation which was beyond his control and also beyond Styles' control. Train played it perfectly up until this point with a couple of hiccups along the way, but this was the best possible outcome for Train. Styles suspended and in handcuffs, and his obsession and overzealous nature going against him. All the evidence.
Again, in the very first episode, the captain says, I'm putting you in for captain. You need to let all this bullshit go. And now look where his obsession has landed him. His wife fucking the lawyer that he's working with, and now he in handcuffs, damn near framed for murder of his father.
Everything at this moment in time pointed against the sire Styles, which is where Train and Ebony decided to deliver the hammer blow. As I mentioned before, sometimes the best form of defense is attack, and that's exactly what he did here. They went into the lion's den with Sam and Breck, their lawyers. They threatened to hit them with a lawsuit due to Styles' obsession, and they definitely had plenty of evidence to back their case. Even though you had Detective Corella, aka Benny Proctor, who believed Noah, who believed Styles, who asked Malik to just ask Train just one question that could potentially
this nigga all in Styles' face. He trying to fuck his wife. I hate niggas like that, bro.
Catch him off guard. They even had him in their back pocket through the chess move that they made a couple of episodes prior. Malik did also mention a couple of episodes prior that he's never been able to beat Breck. As I mentioned before, Train played the perfect multi-layered chess move revenge.
If Isaiah Styles sees this, if Isaiah Styles gets convicted, he never has to see us, and you can run for DA. Yeah, this will be a conflict of interest. You're working with a guy and you're sleeping with his wife. All of this is nasty work for a lawyer. So they framed him. They took pictures of him kissing that man's wife, and they told him, yo, you don't play ball, you ain't gonna never see DA.
Mission. And it really did look like it was game over for Styles. But he did also leave Cruz with something to think about. The proof that he's innocent is the fact that his gun was used to kill Nightmare. And with this being his former partner, someone who knew him, it definitely gave us something to think about. And that's where she made the move with Candice and the necklace that only happened to be a wire. They caught Ebony on conspiracy to commit murder where it came to Noah, who at that moment in time disappeared. Now, with Ebony in custody, she's left with a choice between either giving up Wilder or giving up her sister, with Cruz really pushing on the heartstrings of her unborn child. As it is, she knows what it's like to lose one child. She didn't want to be in that position again. But the fact that her relationship with her sister Charlie has been on thin ice, the fact that she made the decision to interfere in her miscarriage, I think that's definitely...
Okay, what he meant by interfering in her miscarriage. This is Ebony's sister, Charlie. Remember I told y'all Charlie is the one that gives Coltrane Wilder and his whole crew all their jobs. This one here was pregnant with Coltrane's baby. She's out, passed out or whatever. I guess she was having birth complications. Coltrane was not present, and her sister decided to terminate the pregnancy without her sister's consent. This is a villain too. I told you, nobody's good in this show. This chick is a villain too.
Been on thin ice. The fact that she made the decision to interfere in her miscarriage, I think that's definitely what pushed Ebony over the edge in terms of making the decision to choose Wilder over Charlie. Now, Charlie agrees to back off from Noah, but she did tell Harper that there was a new target in mind. The new target was, of course, going to be Coltrane, and we did see them later get into a fight where there was only ever going to be one winner in this situation. Meanwhile, with Styles, he
fucked Harper up. He broke her fucking neck. That shit was funny.
Slipped off the ankle monitor, because at this point, he just kind of did whatever he wanted to, but he had to go and find Noah, where he found him at a party, plotting to kill Coltrane himself, where he promised he'll take him down himself.
Noah in there being fake hood, he in there drinking 40s and smoking weed. Boy, if you don't pass that blunt, you don't know what the fuck you doing. In there smoking weed, just looking dumb. In there sticking out like a sore thumb because he don't fit. I'm going to tell y'all right now, man, there's nothing wrong with not fitting in the crowd. That's just not your crowd. Go find your crowd or make your own crowd. Quit trying to be something you're not. Use a basketball player, nigga. Go play ball.
And to do so, he turned to Miguel Alvarez of the Alvarez cartel. He asked them to kill Coltrane Wilder, and this is what Corny Kemp had to say on this particular situation. By the time that happens, the death of Nightmare and him being accused of that death cracks something in him where he's not the guy we met in episode 1. He's right and wrong. The black and white are not quite as divided.
Again, if you're willing to do anything to win, even if it's the bad thing, are you really a good guy?
Now, the cartel does kind of do its job. Although they weren't to know they haven't taken Ebony, they actually took Candace by mistake. Both Candace and Ebony were in the house at that moment in time, with Ebony escaping, but they grabbed Candace thinking she was Coltrane's wife. Now, Candace does eventually help Coltrane find out the whereabouts of Ebony, and she was actually in hospital. She slipped and hurt herself, and she was in hospital. The baby was fine, but she was heavily guarded by law enforcement. They knew once they had Ebony, there was no way Wilder wouldn't come to the rescue. But again, this is someone who we've spoken about as being 3 moves ahead. He spoke to Charlie and he told her that they needed to put their differences aside and look at the bigger picture. The bigger picture being the welfare of Ebony and her unborn baby. So Charlie sent in a team of nurses to break her sister out, while Coltrane used himself as bait to distract law enforcement.
This was a fire move. Coltrane came in the hospital and let people see him just so they would chase him and his wife could get up out of there. It was a fire move.
And that's where we see another chase where it really did turn out to be everyone against Wilder. You had law enforcement chasing him, you had the Alvarez cartel chasing him, with even Noah and Amos people after him. It was literally everyone against.
Look at this fucking kid running after a grown man with a gun, knowing he ain't ready to bust.
Coltrane Wilder, where it then came down to one final showdown, with Noah having Coltrane at gunpoint boxed in.
Now, this is the man who killed your grandfather, right? You got the gun on him. He got his arms open saying, what you want to do? He was like, you know, if you kill me, there's no coming back from that. It was too much talking. That's how I knew this kid wasn't going to do nothing. It's too much talking. Too much talking. If you're going to do it, get it done.
Styles was forced to choose between Noah and Coltrane Wilder, with Noah being hit from a stray bullet from the Alvarez cartel. And this was someone who he'd been chasing from episode 1. And it comes back around to the question that I asked at the beginning of this particular breakdown. Did anybody really win? Corny Kemp mentioned at this moment in time, at the final minute, having lost almost everything and never having made a choice in favor of their families, they finally make the right decision. But again, even though Styles makes the right...
Coltrane tells Styles, your boy, he's over here. He's got a bullet in his leg. Now, this is the same disrespectful kid laying on the ground. He's been disrespectful. He even told, in one of them episodes, he told his dad, fuck you. He told him he wasn't shit and all that. Woo, woo, woo. You know what I'm saying? You now got a bullet in your leg, and the first person he crying for, Dad, help me, Dad. Coltrane is holding on to the wound to stop the bleeding because he doesn't want the boy to die. And he says to Styles, you can take me in, you can shoot me, but your boy will bleed out. He said, or you can let me go and come put pressure on this wound so that your boy can live. What decision do you think he made?
A decision in saving his son, and Coltrane Wilder saying he won. Did he really? Even though they both chose their families over their obsession, did they really win? I do think the damage is already done when it comes to season 2, which we're going to see unfold. Candace has already fallen into the arms of Malik. Styles has already made an enemy of the cartel. Even though Ebony is safe, will Coltrane be able to find her with Charlie, someone who's wanted to keep her away and try to take her sister away from Coltrane? Wilder's reputation and business is also in ruins. Choi and Stro are in police custody. Noah has also been corrupted by Amos, and we all know from Power what path these kids can easily go.
Man, that boy is a square. After that bullet in the leg, he's going to be playing basketball in the next season. If he can play basketball again. Ooh, I just thought about something, y'all. What if that shot to the leg kills Noah's basketball dreams and now he go get in the street in season 2? Yeah.
Go down with the wrong influence and experience. So they've definitely taken a lot of losses, which I do think will unfold in season 2. With that being said, that will...
Y'all tell me how y'all feeling about this one. Are you gonna go check out Nemesis? It's a fire show. I'm telling y'all, don't have nothing to do because from episode 1, you're gonna be locked in and you're not gonna watch nothing else. I sat there for 8 hours and watched all 8 episodes with my wife. That shit was fire, nigga. But tell me in the comments how y'all feeling about that one, man. From the makers of Power, you have Netflix's Nemesis, man. It's a fire show. Please check it out. But on to the next one. And finally here, we have the latest episode of From. I can actually tell y'all, I kind of know what's going on in the show now. This is the first time we've been able to, out of 4 seasons, this one episode has given us more information than any other episode. It's trash, but I can't take my eyes away from it. It's a fire show. So we're going to check it out here. Hold on. We're going to check down our episode 5 breakdown. Hold on for a second, y'all. Hold on. Let me get us right here. This will be by way of brain plot, y'all. This will be by way of brain plot. We're going to check out what happened in the latest episode of From, and then we're going to ride this thing on out. The session be over. Hold on, y'all. Y'all been keeping up with From? This is the first episode out of 4 seasons where we've gotten some clear answers, y'all. That's why this is important to me. I'm Kui. Let's check it out. Don't forget to give Brain Plot a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's check him out.
Season 4, Episode 5 of From's core theme was all about remembering, and we saw that present throughout every character in the episode. We saw Jade whilst on his trip trying to remember his past carnations, how to save the children, and how to ultimately escape the town. Tabitha with the dolls that she had when she was younger. Henry and what his life on the outside was like. Julie and her story walking, and Marielle and her being stuck in the cave.
I ain't gonna lie, this episode was kind of fire. I'm not gonna lie to you.
However, as we saw with Jade and Tabitha, by looking into the past, there can be information there that'll help their future and present day selves. With creatures conjuring up an awful death for Roger, this episode was a great one that provided some answers and showed just how dark the show could truly be. So with that, let's dive into the episode, break it down, and I'll share what I thought of it. Here is From Season 4, Episode 5, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain
spoiler country, Jack. We don't play around here. If you want some, go see the episode first and then come back and watch this. But we about to get into it.
Spoilers. Jade's trip. For Jade, this episode was all about remembering his past.
Jade took some mushrooms that they found in the garden because he believed it would unlock some doorway for him to be able to remember what might have happened here from his past selves. Because if we can remember, Tabitha and Jade are reincarnations of several people that have been locked in the Fromville town. And he got Boyd here with him in the background. He's like, yo, if I start tripping, I need you to roll with me as my guide, and I need you to pull me back if I start tripping off the shrooms. So, yeah, let's just see.
Deep inside of his mind to the previous carnations of when he was in the town, as it's confirmed that, like Tabitha, he's somebody that's essentially always been there. But whilst looking deep inside of those memories, he was hoping to find a way to navigate out of the town and to also save the children. Whilst Jade was on his trip, he saw the young version of himself playing a violin, and he was playing a song that he would always perform, but was specifically playing when his grandmother died, a moment that he felt inside of him when it happened. Along with this, after drinking the blood that the man with the skull gave him,
I'm not drinking no blood from a fucking skull. Hell.
He then saw previous carnations of himself inside of the town from the different timelines. It was when he was here where he saw the similarity between all of them, and that was that they weren't killed by the monsters of the town. They were all murdered by the people of the town.
If y'all can remember, a couple of episodes ago, the man in yellow, 2-3 episodes ago, the man in yellow said, this is my favorite part when they all kill each other, when they all destroy each other.
This showed that the townspeople eventually turned on the different versions of Jade over the years, and that it happened in every single iteration, meaning that it would soon be happening again to Jade, and it was essentially unavoidable, showing that the town is quite literally a cycle that's impossible to break out of because it always happened. This also meant that the mass slaughtering is something that's definitely going to be taking place too. The townspeople essentially turn on Jade because once he reveals to them that he's been there before, that the children in the woods were calling for him, they begin to blame him for them all being there and like he had a hand in the creation of the town. One would imagine that if the townspeople realized that the carnations of Jade were a common denominator about history repeating itself, then they might view the death of him as a way out. So I can see why the people would look to do that.
See, that's an answer. That's one of the first answers that we've gotten since I've been watching season 1. I've been saying the entire time, what the fuck is this show? This episode gives us a whole lot of answers. Crazy that it took the season 4 to do it, though.
Jade was looking deep within his mind for a way out of there, and it ultimately led him to a hallway through a door that led to the caves, which was behind a door inside of Colony House in the basement. A door that doesn't seem to exist there in the actual timeline. So it makes me wonder if following this trip, we're going to see Boyd and Jade looking to open up that gateway to the caves from there. Throughout the entirety of the episode, we thought we were watching Jade wandering around Fromsville the entire time. However, what we actually saw was that Jade was just sitting in his chair the entire time, with Boyd watching over him and him imagining it all in his mind. I thought that was the perfect thing about it. Jade's answers were inside of his mind all along, and that was where he found them. He didn't find them in the physical Fromsville, but he found them inside his memory of it from over the years, which is exactly what the intention of the trip was. When Jade was going down the hallway to the caves, he ended up going to the spot where the children died, and he was placed inside of a tomb by the creatures that emerged from the shadow.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought this was it for Jade. I thought they was about to rip him limb from limb. But instead, they did something even better. They put him in an empty, shallow grave and put a rock on top of it.
Inside of the tomb that he was placed in was one of the children, and they said to him, Ankui, which we know means remember. And it was here where he then woke up and said how he knew what he needed to do to get everybody out of there and for it to not happen again.
Is Jade gonna die, y'all? If you've been keeping up with this show, do you think this carnation of him, this version of him, is actually going to die, or will they escape the town?
We saw by the previous carnations of Jade, they always got killed by the townspeople every time. So breaking the cycle is something that's key to altering the outcome of the events. Maybe Jade was taken to that specific spot because he needs to either sacrifice himself to the monsters where the children were killed in order for the other townspeople to be able to escape, as he's a common denominator. If the people don't turn on each other, which is what it seems like is going to be an inevitability, and could be because of Jade, I wonder if the events altering will ultimately break the cycle. Jade was certain on what it is that he needed to do, and the spot where he was laid in the tomb is something that's going to be of great importance. So I think we're going to see Boyd and Jade heading in that direction and looking to see what's underneath.
I'm not going to where they put me in a fucking empty grave and put a rock on top of me. It happened in your mind. It'll probably happen in real life. Because one of the monsters, as they was putting him in the grave, they said, you should have left with Boyd. You never really were a smart one, though. Sheesh. So that monster was talking about every incarnation of him. Every incarnation of him. Not smart.
Beneath that stone that Jade was placed in. I did find it interesting that it was said that what happened to Tabitha was far worse than being killed by the townspeople, which is what happened to Jade. Tabitha and Jade seem like two people that the town wouldn't turn on at the moment, so I'm both excited and fearful over what could be on the horizon for them. Tabitha at the lake with the scarecrows. Everything about this part of the episode was...
Okay, last episode, they found the quote-unquote lake of tears because the little boy told them to bring their ass over there, and they pulled something out of the water, and it looks like bodies. As they pull the bodies to shore, it looks like 3 giant dolls. As you can see, you got a button for an eye and all of that. Old girl here, the old head, she says, there's only one time when I've seen overgrown dolls be in some situation that where they need to be needed. The little boy says they're scarecrows. But these scarecrows were placed inside of the lake. They were under the water in the lake. And normally, scarecrows are there to scare something from approaching. So if those scarecrows were in the water, maybe they're trying to keep something down there. You know what I'm saying? Craziness all the way around.
From, in my opinion, whether it be the dragging in of the scarecrows from the lake, the melancholic score that underpinned the scene, the creative and brutal death of Roger, or the memories that Tabitha was digging deep into. With what were believed to be bodies being found at the end of the previous episode, we saw that they actually turned out to be scarecrows, and with Donna then realizing that scarecrows are normally used to keep things away, she wanted to put them back into the lake because she thought it was keeping something under there. However, she couldn't have been more wrong. Tabitha had actually seen those dolls before, but they were a lot smaller and she used to play with them when she was younger. However, now they were huge. These were the dolls that the angry man threw into the lake, but then when he died, they emerged and wanted...
She's talking about a past version of herself and her younger self. This is crazy.
...to get revenge of some kind. This made me wonder about the power of the lake. We know that the lake didn't heal, and it wasn't the Lake of Tears because the bird that Ethan was caring for died. But with it being able to make the dolls bigger and also fueled with rage, I wonder if there is a power that's in there. We did hear singing out there during the night, and it was almost like a siren of some kind. So I wonder if there's going to be more than meets the eye with that. These scarecrows were definitely the most terrifying thing of the season so far.
That's a fact.
When they stormed...
Yo, so they didn't make it back to Colony House at night, right? So they're all taking refuge in this little cottage or whatever, because supposedly they're thinking the monsters are going to come in there. All for those dolls that they put back into the lake to become animated, reanimated or whatever, They're walking upright and all that. They bust through the damn wall in the little cabin that they were in. One of the guys, this one right here, he ripped somebody's jaw. Just ripped the jaw. I said, oh, shit was fine.
Stormed in, grabbed a hold of Roger, and then ripped his jaw off. It was absolutely brutal and showed that they were taking no prisoners and giving no chances. Even when they placed Patty's face on the fire, they were on a mission. It was only when Tabitha remembered and used one of the totems to kill it when it stopped, and the others then fled the scene. She said she remembered what to do, which is why she picked up the totem, but what this showed us was that the totems don't actually work in the way that we thought. We originally thought that they were a boundary that kept the monsters at bay. However, if they acted as a boundary or a barrier, then the scarecrows wouldn't have gone there. So we still don't properly understand what they're used for. There was a moment in this episode where Ethan said to Donna how he liked it when she was around because it felt less scary. And honestly, when he said that, I thought it was going to be some subtle foreshadowing, which was insinuating that this was the episode where Donna was going to die.
I thought so too. I like it when you're around. It's less scary. I said, man, they finna rip that lady head off.
When that scarecrow got a hand on her as well, I thought she was toast, but thankfully she got to live. One moment that I think is going to be important in the unraveling of Jade and Tabitha is the fact that Patty actually ended up surviving this ordeal. She saw Tabitha acting like she had a deep connection with the town when they were inside of the hut, and like how the townspeople began to blame Jade in the previous iterations, I think we could ultimately see that happening with Tabitha too. Division is definitely a core theme of this season, and whilst I originally thought that it was going to be the townspeople against Boyd, it's now going to be the townspeople against Jade and Tabitha.
It still could be the townspeople against Boyd. He's another one that's starting to lose his mind in the town too. Everybody could end up killing each other, and then that's when the man in yellow just comes out and just eats everybody's remains. This is how he gets fed century after century, cycle after cycle. I want to know exactly what the man in yellow is.
I believe the people will feel like Jade and Tabitha have answers that they're simply not sharing, and the change in sentiment and mood towards them could be.
We're not doing that, because if that's the case, y'all need to string Victor ass up. Victor got all the answers. Why ain't he getting strung up?
Begin because of that. Henry's breakdown. If Jade and Tabitha aren't going to divide the town, then it feels like Henry could be the next person to end up causing widespread panic, with him speaking of the man in yellow. Somebody who Boyd didn't want anybody speaking of because he didn't want to start widespread panic, but there Henry was speaking of the fact that he ate his wife Miranda. Henry's breakdown is all too real because after hearing the traumatic news about Miranda being eaten, the image was something that he couldn't shake from his mind.
Bruh, you're already in the town. We here, he just lost it. He had a whole, like y'all saw that whole bottle of liquor he had to himself. Oh, let me see if I can go back and show y'all. He had this big ass bottle of liquor right here. It goes on maybe like 5 more minutes later, and it cuts to a scene with him with that same bottle. The bottle's almost gone. He drunk as shit. This is not a place to get drunk in where there's monsters. That's just me though.
Hearing the traumatic news about Miranda being eaten, the image was something that he couldn't shake from his mind. Hence why he turned to the bottle to simply numb his mind, but instead it had the opposite effect.
Look at that. 2 scenes later, look what the bottle is. That nigga drunk.
It ended up making him look back on happier times with his wife and Henry when they weren't stuck in the town and how life used to be. Henry was playing and singing the song, Leaving on a Jet Plane, and with the lyrics, Leaving on a Jet Plane, don't know when I'll come back again. It was essentially speaking of what happened to Miranda, and now what happened to him with the fact that he was stuck in the town, not knowing if and when he'd return to his regular life. Victor revealed to Kenny what happened with the man in yellow and his mother, so I think that's something.
This is what I'm saying, man. String him up. Get Victor. Victor has answers, bro. I don't care nothing about that. He's 40 or 50 something with the mind of a 12-year-old. I don't give a shit. Bitch, you got answers. How can we get home? If anybody need to get ripped apart, it's him.
And his mother, so I think that's something that could begin to cause Kenny's mind to spiral and simply add to the division even more. Kenny's out there navigating, trying to make sure Fatima is safe whilst creating her golem, trying to keep Sophia safe, trying to make sure Henry and Victor are okay, and now he's holding on to the information of the man in yellow feasting on the residents in the town. Mariel's memory. This story was all about showing us that Sophia was playing with Mariel, and she was doubling down on the fact that Mariel doesn't believe in a higher power by saying that she was a prophet that was chosen by God to hear the suffering. Sophia made sure that Mariel was being tortured and reminded of when she was chained up in the cave. She heard the screams of all of the people that had died in the town, which confirmed to her that there wasn't even a way of escaping.
This one here gonna go crazy. I just see that happening. There's no two ways about it. Because she's not telling anybody what she feels, what she sees. She's gonna end up going crazy. She might be the first one to body somebody in the town.
Fromsville in death, but also when Sophia touched Mariel, she began hallucinating and seeing herself chained up again. Right now, I think Sophia's goal is to basically cause chaos amongst the townspeople and for a lack of trust to form and for division to begin to rise to the surface. As we know, the man in yellow's hungry and ready for that feast that we know that he has every cycle. So Sophia's essentially just playing with her food before she eats it. I actually found Mariel to be quite annoying in this episode, and I thought her acting was a little stale, which was a bit disappointing. The line delivery was flat, and when she was panicking and in that state of hallucination, I thought it was performed quite poorly. Mariel was onto something in this episode, though, as she said how there was something old and ancient that was there, feeding off of the suffering, and that it didn't stop, even after they...
I like how she put that. There's something old and ancient and even evil here, and it's feeding off of all our suffering. That's why we can't leave the town. Because my thing is I'm looking at it like, if I'm there, I'm asking everybody, so we just gonna live here forever? Something's got, there's no way that this is the end. Gotta start asking those questions.
Died. When she said that, if only she knew that the person that was causing it and the higher power that she didn't believe in was standing right in front of her. With Sophia being so close to Mariel and tormenting her, I do wonder if Mariel will begin to spot the signs that there's something not quite right with Sophia. My review of the episode. This was a strong episode of the show in my opinion. I feel like it had a bit of everything.
This was the strongest episode of the show. This was the strongest episode of the show in its entirety. All 4 seasons so far. This was the strongest show because we finally are starting to get some answers. There's supposed to be another season after this. It's going to be the final season. I want to know what type of cliffhanger we're going to be left with at the end of all of this. So y'all tell me how y'all feeling about that, man. The latest episode of From. Have we gotten some answers? Are you feeling a little bit more satisfied? I'm feeling a little more satisfied, but not completely. We're probably going to get some crazy cliffhanger at the end of this season. I'm here for it. Y'all tell me how y'all feeling about that one in the comments, man. All right. This is the end of the sesh. Salute to everybody that stayed. Don't forget to keep smoking, man. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Salute to everybody's content that we reacted to today. It's your boy, Slave DiBiase. This is the Offenders Initiative podcast. Keep smoking, y'all. Yeah.